He was born into the chaos of the American Civil War, technically the property of another man. Just a baby, he was stolen by night raiders, ripped from his mother's arms, and then traded back to his original owner for a single racehorse. By all accounts, his life should have been a tragic footnote in a brutal chapter of history. He really shouldn't have even survived. But this frail, sickly child had a secret weapon, a once-in-a-generation scientific mind and a deep curiosity about the world around him. This is the story of George Washington Carver, a man who started with less than nothing and used science to single-handedly rescue the poor farmers of the American South from total ruin. George Washington Carver's exact birth date isn't known, a sad reality for anyone born into slavery. It was around 1864 on a small farm in Diamond, Missouri. His father had died in an accident before he was born, and his mother, Mary, was kidnapped along with baby George just weeks after his birth. Moses Carver, their owner, sent a neighbor to track them down, but only the infant George was found. He was traded back for the horse. His mother was never seen again. Moses and his wife Susan, who had no children of their own, raised young George. He was too frail for heavy field work, so he spent his days exploring the woods and gardens. He was a quiet, observant boy who just had to understand everything around him. What's the name of this flower? What about this rock? This bug? For him, this fascination wasn't just a hobby, it was a calling. Neighbors soon noticed his uncanny ability to nurse sick plants back to health, giving him the nickname that would stick with him for life, the plant doctor. But the plant doctor craved a formal education, and that seemed impossible. The local school was for white children only. So around the age of 12, with the Carver's blessing, he set off on his own. He walked 8 miles to Neosho to attend a one-room schoolhouse for black children. With no money and nowhere to live, he survived by sleeping in a barn and working odd jobs. This was just the start of a long, tough journey. For the next decade, Carver drifted across the Midwest, a farmhand, a cook, a laundryman, snatching bits of education wherever he could. He was already in his late 20s when he finally got his high school diploma. College seemed within reach. He was accepted to Highland College in Kansas, only to be turned away on his first day when they realized he was black. Still, he didn't give up. Carver eventually enrolled at Simpson College in Iowa, first studying art and music, his other passions. A teacher, Etta Budd, saw his incredible talent for drawing plants, but she feared he could never make a living as a black artist and pushed him toward agriculture. She helped him transfer to the Iowa State Agricultural College, where he became the very first black student they ever had. At Iowa State, Carver finally found his home. He soared, earning both a bachelor's and a master's degree, and showed a remarkable gift for treating plant diseases. He became the first black faculty member at the university and was on his way to a comfortable, respected career in the North. But in 1896, a letter arrived that would change his life and the future of Southern agriculture. It was from Booker T. Washington, the most prominent black educator in America and founder of the Tuskegee Institute in Alabama. Washington was building an institution to give black Americans the tools for economic independence, and he needed someone to lead his new agricultural department. Washington wrote, "I cannot offer you money, position, or fame. The first two you have, the last from the position you now occupy, you will no doubt achieve. These things I now ask you to give up. I offer you in their place work. Hard work. The task of bringing a people from degradation, poverty, and waste to full manhood." For Carver, the choice was clear. This was his mission. He would go south to help, the man farthest down. He turned down much better paying offers and made the journey to Tuskegee, the place he would call home for the next 47 years. When Carver got to Tuskegee, he walked straight into a crisis that was strangling the life out of the South. For generations, the entire economy was built on one crop: cotton. Year after year, farmers planted cotton in the exact same fields. They didn't know it, but this monoculture farming was making the soil sick. Cotton is a hungry crop. It aggressively strips the soil of nutrients, especially nitrogen. Across the South, the land was exhausted and dying. Harvests were shrinking. Poor farmers, mostly black sharecroppers, were trapped in a brutal cycle of debt, unable to grow enough to feed their families, let alone pay their landlords. The ground itself was giving up. Carver saw the problem with the clarity of a scientist. The land wasn't just poor, it was starved. His solution was simple but revolutionary: crop rotation. He urged farmers to stop planting cotton every single year. Instead, he taught them to alternate their cotton with nitrogen-fixing plants. Legumes like soybeans, cowpeas, and most famously, peanuts. These plants, Carver explained, did the opposite of cotton. They naturally put vital nitrogen back into the soil. He handed out free, easy-to-read bulletins and proved his methods on an experimental farm at Tuskegee, transforming depleted soil into a thriving garden. The land began to heal. Cotton yields improved. He had saved the soil, but in doing so, he created a brand new problem. Carver's crop rotation plan worked almost too well. Farmers who took his advice were suddenly harvesting massive amounts of peanuts, a crop that, at the time, had almost no market. People mostly just fed them to livestock. The farmers had saved their soil, but now they were stuck with mountains of peanuts they couldn't sell. So they turned to Carver again. He went back to his lab, which he famously built from scavenged materials. He believed that if you just ask nature the right questions, it would give you the answers. He started asking the humble peanut what it was made of. Using his deep knowledge of chemistry, he broke the peanut down into its basic parts: oils, proteins, and fats. Then he started putting them back together in completely new ways. The results were incredible. From his Tuskegee lab, Carver unveiled what seemed like an endless stream of new products. He developed 300 of them from the peanut alone. He created peanut milk, butter, and flour to improve the nutrition of poor families. But he didn't stop there. He made peanut-based cosmetics, soaps, wood stains, dyes, and inks. He even developed plastics, axle grease, and a form of gasoline, all from the lowly goober. He did the same thing with other alternative crops, creating more than 100 products from the sweet potato, including flour, vinegar, and even a synthetic rubber. Suddenly, these worthless crops had immense value. Carver hadn't just saved the soil, he had created entirely new industries. By 1940, the peanut was the second biggest cash crop in the South. Carver's genius wasn't just stuck in a lab. He knew his discoveries were useless unless they reached the people who needed them. In 1906, he designed the Jessup Wagon, a mobile classroom funded by New York philanthropist Morris K. Jessup. It was basically a farmer's college on wheels, bringing live demonstrations on crop rotation and soil health directly to rural communities. This dedication to sharing knowledge, to lifting others up, was the real heart of his work. If you find this story of innovation and service inspiring, please give this video a like and subscribe for more stories about the hidden heroes of history. Let us know in the comments which of Carver's inventions you find most surprising. George Washington Carver became one of the most famous men in America. In 1941, Time magazine called him the Black Leonardo. He advised President Theodore Roosevelt on agricultural matters and corresponded with Mahatma Gandhi about nutrition. Industrialist Henry Ford became a close friend, so impressed by Carver's work that he tried to lure him away with a huge salary. When Carver became too frail to climb stairs, Ford had an elevator installed in his Tuskegee dormitory. But Carver cared little for fame or money. Of his hundreds of discoveries, he only ever patented 3. He said his ideas were gifts from God, meant for everyone. His life's mission was never personal gain, but service. He donated his entire life savings, a substantial sum of nearly $60,000, to create the Carver Foundation at Tuskegee to ensure that agricultural research would continue long after he was gone. He passed away on January 5, 1943. The epitaph on his headstone says it all. He could have added fortune to fame, but caring for neither, he found happiness and honor in being helpful to the world. The story of George Washington Carver is an incredible testament to the human spirit. It's about how a boy born with every possible disadvantage, enslaved, orphaned, and denied opportunity at every turn, used the power of his mind and the quiet wisdom of nature to uplift an entire people. He didn't just invent things from a peanut. He gave struggling farmers a way to support themselves. He healed a dying land and revolutionized an entire agricultural system. He proved that knowledge, when shared freely and guided by compassion, can be the most powerful force for change in the world. From a boy traded for a horse to the quiet savior of the South, his legacy isn't just one of science, but of profound humanity.